We are live. All right, here comes the intro. Let me make sure I'm recording here first. This is only the 92nd time I've done this, so I got to check it out. You're listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Grow Clinton is a 501c6 nonprofit economic community development and tourism organization based in Clinton, Iowa. For more information, visit growclinton.com. Again, that's growclinton.com. Now, back to the show. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast. That's right, the Grow Clinton podcast, recorded right here in the Grow Clinton studios at 721 South 2nd Street, right underneath the South Bridge in Clinton, Iowa. As always, I am your host, Andy Sokolovich, for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. But I'm always joined by the one, the only, Jenny home from our office. Jenny, what's happening?
We have a lot of information today. I'm so excited to hear it.
We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, specifically manufacturing drive and the construction that's part of the drive to prosperity.
Yes.
Happening here in Clinton, Iowa, one of our major thoroughfares here throughout the community, but has been in need for a state of, well, it's been in a state of disrepair for a little while. We've done a lot of patchwork and stuff, but now we're really going to take action to make sure that that road is pristine.
Long waited.
So before we introduce our guest, I have to say thank you to Miles Communications for bringing us high-speed internet. That's right, folks. Miles Communications is our sponsor, and this podcast would not be possible without high-speed fiber internet. Check them out, milestelephone.com. Again, milestelephone.com. So, Jenny, we're joined in the studio by two representatives that make up the Clinton Engineering Department here in the city of Clinton. Jason and Zane. Welcome, fellas.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man.
You sound excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is an exciting project.
This is an exciting
very
project.
Excited, Andy.
So let's talk a little bit about what the residents of this community can expect as they drive down Manufacturing Drive next week, the 18th.
The
All the
18th
construction
already.
happens.
Yeah, that's when it's scheduled to start. So we're going to be rebuilding all of Manufacturing Drive. It's like a 2-mile road, 2 miles long from Lincoln Way, Highway 30 there behind. It's right by the funeral home, behind the old Target building, all the way from there to College Avenue. That's the extent of the project. It's 2 miles. It's going to take 2 years to reconstruct. Normally, something like this wouldn't take that long, but with 2 bridges, pretty large bridges over Mill Creek and Harts Mill Creek out there by Nestle, on each side of Nestle there, those are time consuming. So, and with reconstructing a bridge, the road needs to be fully closed in order for that to happen. So there's no through traffic from next Tuesday until likely the end of 26. But it's all for a good reason. I mean, Manufacturing Drive, busiest city street. I mean, there's probably more traffic on Highway 30, Lincoln Way, but not much more. And it's a very busy street, and it's only a 2-lane road. Most of it was constructed over 100 years ago. It's still that original concrete.
And when you think about it, 2 years, that seems like a long time. And it will feel like a long time when it's happening. But for as long as I can remember, that road has been exactly the same. And it just doesn't make sense with all those industries out there, just the 2 lanes and the congestion and the possible safety issues. So I'm so glad that this is happening.
Yeah, it's an odd thing where like all that development sprung up. I mean, it was probably when it was constructed, there was nothing there, and it's right through a wetland area. So it just, with Nestle there and Walmart, everything sort of sprung up over the last, I don't know.
So Zane, tell me about the plan for rerouting that traffic. What's that going to look like?
Yeah, so obviously it's going to be a bit hectic for a while, almost the entire duration of the project, but we're going to do everything we can to make sure, and there will always be access to all the businesses along there throughout the duration of the project. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts, but if you have a business along that property, or if you're going to a business along that property, you're always going to be able to get there. You'll just need to follow the posted detours. Right now, the biggest detour is going to be at South 14th Street. People are going to be detoured down towards the highway over 13th Avenue South to get to those local businesses. Or if you're coming from the Walmart area, you're going to be the opposite way up and around. So those are going to be changing all the time. Not day to day, but every couple of weeks or months, you better check it out if you think you have a errand to run down there or a business to get to. because it's in order to always provide that access, parts of the road have to be closed.
Sure. Now, Jason, you guys are working with Shive Hattery, correct?
Yeah, they're providing full-time on-site inspection and observation. There's a fellow down there in the same building as the florist.
Clinton Floral.
Right.
Clinton Floral, yeah. So he's down there. Fellow by the name of Joseph. He's the on-site rep. So he'll be there every day, all day.
Right on site.
Right on site.
That's cool.
Making sure things are done right,
Right.
making sure that everyone's needs are addressed. And if you have any questions as a citizen, stop in and see him.
Yeah, so Joseph has been meeting with those industries and those businesses along Manufacturing Drive. So how do the Nestle employees, how are they going to be able to access the plant?
So they're going to continue to have access from the north end of the project.
Okay.
So you can get to Manufacturing Drive from South 19th Street, South 21st Street. They have to get to the plant from the north. The bridge immediately to the south of their driveway is going to be the first thing we close and the first thing we reconstruct. Once that's reconstructed, then at the end of next year, we can move over, work on the other bridge, and they'll have to come from the south end of the project. So being right there in the middle, it's going to be kind of tricky for them, but there's always going to be access, and we're always going to make sure that they can get to their work.
That's a good question. But if I were talking to a Nestle employee, I would say come in from 19th Street for now, and then head toward the plant, the main gate that way, and that's going to be that way for the whole year, all
Duration of
this
the
year,
project, yeah.
all of this year. But then next year, like Zane said, it'll be easier. You'll be coming in from Highway 30 next year because we'll be working on the other bridge. So Nestle's going to have access from the north this year. Same thing with Awesome Car Wash, Brent's Firehouse Coffee, all those Eastern Iowa Tire. Got to come from the north for this year, and then next year you'll come from the south to those places.
Yeah, very interesting, but definitely a project that we're very excited about. I always kind of equate Manufacturing Drive and Bluff Boulevard to where the horse and buggies used to travel through town. One day they just asphalted over that, and all of a sudden that became a roadway because the intersections don't line up.
Nope.
Many of them do not line up, and there's definitely some blind spots throughout that route. I know I live up by the Arboretum, so when I come down Terrace and I have to turn there by the Quick Star on Bluff, that's always a very tricky way to pull out just because of the way the bluff and some of the overgrowth hangs out over the street.
I think people are excited about this. I mean, it's been needed for so long, and the safety of it. I mean, I've seen crashes out there in my time, and it just seems like it's always maybe going to happen. God, knock on wood, but it needs to be done. 2 lanes is not sufficient, and people can adapt to whatever the changes are until it's finished.
Can you give us a little history on how this project was funded? That's kind of a cool part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, well, it all started with the old Tiger grants. Now they're called Raise grants. So we focused on. We knew we needed to focus on a project. We had the ability with our population to apply for a project up to $25 million in funding. We applied for 19. We got funded 15 million for manufacturing and Bluff both. So like you were saying earlier, like I think it used to be in the outskirts of town. All of the older part of the community is down in the low-lying area, right? That's kind of the perimeter of old Clinton. Everything above the bluff is relatively new. At least over the last 50 or 60 years
Right.
that's developed. So I think it was just never meant to be a busy street. So it was a 2-lane dirt path. And that's all the old pictures we have. I should have brought some. We're just like a gravel road.
Well, I can tell you that that's true because when I was young, little kid out there, where the Frontier restaurant and hotel was, it was the Best Western. That was like the only thing out there.
Yeah.
And so you drive and it's just, just that one property out there, and there wasn't very much. Nestle was there, but like you said, I mean, there weren't businesses there. There was no development there. Now we've got the apartments. We've got all kinds of different businesses there, strip malls. Yeah.
Needs to get done. So Zane, you are always on the forefront of bicycle lanes. Talk to me a little bit about the bicycle lane that's going to be associated with this project.
Yeah, so it's not only a road project, but there's also a lot of pedestrian safety aspects to the project as well. There's going to be a couple bus pullouts. There's going to be some sidewalks up and down the roadway, and there's going to be a recreational trail on the south side of the road. So that's going to stretch all the way from the south end of the project, and then it'll connect to the Bluff the Bluff Boulevard project, and it'll run the entire length up to 7th Avenue North. So we've had a bike advisory committee in town since 2018. And this project is kind of shuffling up all their thinking. We've never thought that having a trail along Bluff Boulevard
Yeah.
was possible. And this is changing the whole landscape. So to incorporate a trail along Manufacturing Drive and Bluff Boulevard is going to be huge. It's going to be a huge connector throughout town. It's going to connect to the river, one running along Lincoln Way, Comanche Avenue, up to the Discovery Trail, all the way up to Eagle Point Park. And it'll allow us to find some other connections throughout town. It's going to be huge for the cycling community and anybody who wants to use a recreational trail. That's people who are out running for exercise or, riding their bike to work. It's going to offer a whole new opportunity for transportation.
No, very cool. I'm a huge fan. I do every once in a while bump into cyclists on that road. And because of some of the closure, and they're not supposed to be on the sidewalks, but there's a huge chunk there where some of the sidewalks are actually closed. So they're on the street. And man, there is not enough room for traffic and a bicycle. There's
You
just
bumped
not.
into them.
And no. Luckily, I have not hit anybody, but you do see people out there taking a huge risk by riding a bicycle, especially when it's like shift change out of Nestle and traffic's buzzing through there. So I'm very excited for that.
It's a busy place. There's not a whole lot of existing pavement. So that new trail is going to be off of the roadway. It's going to be behind the curb. It's going to be a safe spot to run, walk, ride, bike, whatever you need to do. It's going to be massive.
Jason talked to me about the intersection on 19th. There's a thing called a roundabout going in.
Yeah, well, with this project, pretty much the condition of the grant, we had to sell this project to the federal government. So, and it's not just we're a city and we want a new road, and so we have to it's not really getting creative either. It's why do we need this road? It's the busiest road in town. It's fairly unsafe. There's many aspects of the road now that make it unsafe. And Zane and I are both very passionate about traffic safety. I mean, every project we've done over the last 10, 15 years has had some variety of safety aspect to it.
I see you around town. You're wearing your yellow vest, whether you're involved in a project or not. Everywhere you go, you have it on. Just crazy about safety.
Thanks, man. Yeah. No, we are, though, because, it's important. I mean, it's if you're improving the town, if you're making things safer, then you're spending the taxpayer dollars wisely. So that's our number one focus. Getting the bikes, getting the pedestrians off the road is one thing, but you alluded to the roundabout. So the entire project of Manufacturing Drive has got, I think I looked at the stats the other day, we're averaging between 70 and 80 accidents per year along that area. And that includes some of Bluff Boulevard as well. So we think we can get that down 75, 80% by different strategies, widening the road, adding a turn lane throughout the entire corridor, center turn lane, two-way turn lane, similar to what you have on Lincoln Way, 13th Avenue North. And then modifying the intersections. So realigning intersections wherever we can so that they're not so skewed, 90 degrees. And then at 19th Street, adding a roundabout. So that's going to add to the safety. It seems counterintuitive. If you don't know how to use them, maybe they can be slightly unsafe. But it's going to slow traffic down, and then maybe you have a fender bender. But you add a roundabout, what you're going to get is more efficient traffic movements as well. So,
that intersection, you wait forever for that light to turn green, and then it doesn't stay green for very long. So everybody's just slamming the gas to get through and continue to move through traffic. And sometimes, like I said, when you see Nestle shift change, that intersection is backed out all the way past the old technology center that now is owned by Clinton Community School District. So it's definitely something that roundabouts, I grew up in the East Coast in Pennsylvania, used to them. We had them all over the place. I drive Veterans Memorial Parkway in Bettendorf all the time, and they have them all over. It's just something you have to learn how to navigate. But once you get it down, it's easy. And it's so much more efficient. And just like the one in Comanche, for a while when Comanche was proposing that roundabout, I mean, the pitchforks and the folks were coming out, torches, and they were like, no roundabouts. Now I can't even imagine navigating that intersection without a roundabout because it's just so much easier.
Well, that's a good thing. You want to hear both sides of the story. I mean, you want to have, and we've had a while ago, like 4, 5, 6 years ago, we've had multiple open houses to discuss using roundabouts in the future as another tool in our toolbox for intersections. And you want to hear those people come out because they're going to make valid points. You know, can the trucks get through the intersection? Is traffic going to get backed up? Am I going to see increased delay? Is it going to be unsafe? Or, you know, do you really know what you're doing? Do you really think that we need a roundabout here? So a lot of times what comes of that is you just get more thoughtful about the design process. And the one at 19th with that heavily skewed intersection and there's really no way to
Even
turn that
out,
into a
yeah.
90-degree intersection.
Right.
We don't want to close any of the legs of the intersection. So really it's a perfect strategy for that type. And the fact that manufacturing comes through at such a weird angle, it lends itself to roundabouts. You don't want to get overboard, but this is one that I know it's going to be successful, and it's a massive project. But it's perfect. We're gonna see reduced accidents all throughout that corridor, and the roundabout's a big part of that.
One of the things we do here is we talk to a lot of the, industries and the people who work out there, and now that they have all the apartment complexes out there, I went out and spoke to some of the residents out there, and they said one of the things that they really wanted out there was more safety, but sidewalks and bike paths where they can use that. It's a kind of an underdeveloped area of town because it's so brand new, but they wanted, a little bit more safety out there. And I think this is going to provide that for them.
Yeah, no doubt. Very exciting. You guys have been working very hard on this project for several years. It's coming through to fruition in partnership with Shive Hattery. I do know that we're going to have a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking, next week on the 17th. We're going to celebrate the start of this project, and we're going to hear from Shive Hattery and some of the community leadership. And I'm very excited to see this come through to fruition because I don't love driving manufacturing in Bluff Boulevard. And it's just, as somebody who came from the outside to the community, it was always one of those head scratchers as to why that roadway was just so busy and so wonky, and the intersections didn't line up, and there's a lot of blind spots, but this is going to solve all that. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Great.
No, it's a beautiful thing, truly, because it is, like, at this point we've developed Liberty Square, Lincoln Way. We've made improvements all throughout town, and this is one thing that we just kept kicking the can down the road because we can't afford it without a grant, which we received. I should mention, we got, in addition to $15 million from the federal government, we're leveraging $8 million from the state, a couple of traffic safety grants, one being the roundabout there, and the other being the intersection at Thor Walton. So, like I say, this year or the next 2 years, manufacturing is going to transform from a pretty unsightly 2-lane road with a lot of haphazard looking infrastructure to something that looks, it's going to be the best road in town. It's something to be proud of, and I think people are going to appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's going to do a lot too to attract additional business down there, no doubt about it. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we close out the show?
I think we hit most of it. I mean, traffic safety, we're going to reduce accidents by 60, 70%, something like that. We won't know until it's all done. It's going to be inconvenient for people. There's going to be signs directing people to several of the businesses using alternative routes because, like Zane said, you're going to be able to get there, but you're going to have to go a different way. So using 13th Avenue South from 14th Street behind Bluff Elementary there, and then using 19th or 21st to get to some of those other businesses. Just follow the signs, be patient, and 2 years is going to go by pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
People will adapt.
Yep.
DriveToProsperity.com. Is that the correct website where you can see some drone footage and some cool little videos that were put together during the application process for the federal grant? And then also your office is a tremendous resource, Clinton Engineering Department within the city of Clinton. You can contact Zane or Jason if you have any questions, but very excited to see this project start. And we'll have you guys back again when we hit the Bluff side of Drive to Prosperity. Cool?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
exciting.
All right, Jenny, you got anything else going on?
I do. I'm going to go out and do some visits today, and then tomorrow's Friday, and so then the weekend's coming, and then we have Shamrock tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night, the big Shamrock Festival hosted by Grow Clinton over at Legends Draft House and Golf Simulators. I don't believe the golf simulators, if they're smart, will probably not be up and running because We need all the
yes.
space we can get.
We
got
gotta
a
dance.
full group of people that are coming out. Live music from Press Record, which is a band that I have not heard before, and this is their
Right.
debut in Clinton.
And it's so reasonable too. I mean, $35, you can,
Yep, $35 at the
mean,
door. That
that's not
includes drink tickets. That includes some appetizers, live music, and some networking and a great social opportunity. To
great
meet new
night
people.
out. Yeah.
All right, Jenny. Well, you have a great rest of your week. I want
You too.
again to thank Miles Communications, milestelephone.com. Again, milestelephone.com. If they're not in your neck of the woods yet, they're on their way. And they have an office in downtown Clinton
They have
now.
a
300
beautiful
block
one.
of Fifth Avenue South.
Yes.
Big bright sign, Miles Communications.
Beautiful.
So we're very excited to see that small cooperative grow into something really
Mm-hmm.
neat. All right, everybody. I've been your host, Andy Sokolovich of the Grow Clinton podcast. You need anything from Grow Clinton, you can hit us up at growclinton.com or come by our office, 721 South 2nd Street. Until next time, stay awesome. Thank you for listening to the Grow Clinton podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on all your socials. Until next time, see ya. All right, I'll end the stream.